If you're at Starbucks, 7 out of 10 people live paycheck to paycheck. It's very difficult to move away from that and think like, no, I need to get big. Because we were told staying small is what? Don't make too much noise, don't stand out, don't make a fuss, get a pension.
Once you create and go through this process, now I told you, 3 people full time. So I have a listing coordinator. Agents call her through the MLS. She answers all the questions. If she needs me, then she contacts me. I only get to touch that deal once we get an offer and we get under contract. After that, I send it back. And then see you at closing, which is usually, I believe, that's
Right.
So that's one. The other person that I have an operations manager. It's my brother. He takes care. He supervises everything too, making sure that they're doing their job. He helps me with the marketing that we do. We do a lot of social media. We're hosting a lot of events. So he's my, that's another way to build your business too. You can hire a manager, a supervisor. Usually, it's not the trend. It's not how you do it. I've noticed in real estate, but it's another way. Somebody in marketing, a marketing person, and the third person that I recently maybe 6 months, a full-time video editor. I'm doing a lot of content on social media, so I find myself. We were talking about that. Recording yourself is not once you get comfortable being in front of the camera. It's not the difficult part. It's editing the clips and putting it out there. So I'm doing it at a volume, like Aaron is doing too. That you need somebody that does it. Either you outsource it or you bring it, full staff. But that's at least in my case that I'm being intentional and aggressive on social media. In your case, if you focus your business maybe on networking, maybe you need somebody that helps you do events like this and coordinate events with the food, with the drinks, securing the location.
To follow up with everybody who came.
Follow up to create the Eventbrite list. You know what I mean? All of that.
These are all SOPs too.
Yeah, they're all SOPs.
All of these are SOPs. It's just that depending on the business, then you know which type of SOPs you need.
So once you sign that listing agreement, you delegate the communication with the seller?
I pretty much, yeah. It has to be, very picky seller that that wants me to be in communication, but most of the time I just put it in communication. And the reality is that you don't need a much interaction between seller and herself. They just want maybe updates or showings. Hey, somebody's want to show this property. You can send that in a text.
And I imagine when it comes time to ask for a price adjustment, it's you though.
Yes. That's when I jump in. When it comes to price reductions, I jump in. I try to call sellers once a week to give them an update on the property. And whatever is going on, and whenever it's time to a price reduction, and obviously to discuss offers.
Because that
has to do with the negotiation.
That's doctor work.
That's doctor work.
Whenever I say that, my wife's like, "You're not a doctor," and I'm like, "I'm a doctor of selling." So that's doctor work, which is having those conversations.
But everything. Think about it like this: everything that you can put that is not negotiation, that you can put in a piece of paper, that can follow a process that doesn't have to be you. You can leverage and pass it up. Trust me, that's when the magic happens.
Let me ask you the question. Do any of you guys ever have clients that only want to work with you?
They don't want to interact with
We
anybody
usually
else?
don't take those clients.
Yeah.
The question is, have you ever had a client that doesn't want to work with anybody else or interact with anybody else?
Correct.
Or they get charged a premium,
Yeah.
like on the legal side.
I haven't honestly.
Yeah, I do. Sure.
I get notice. I tell them they do their job better than I would do their job. Like if they don't want to speak to my processor, they speak to me.
Yeah, and so we our transaction coordinator is like a rock star. And when they would give pushback, I'm like, yeah, I appreciate that. She's been with me for all 2,000 transactions. Truthfully, she's better at it than I am. So I oversee the process, but she will be the point of contact moving forward. Make sense? And they're like, no, I guess so.
Usually it's setting the expectations.
Yeah,
Even as soon as you sign that listing or sign that buyer, you set the expectations. Okay, perfect. We're ready to work together. So just so you know, my
listing coordinator,
my transaction, she's gonna be contacting you. She's awesome. She's gonna be available for you. So whenever I cannot pick up your call, it's gonna be there. So you can be in touch with us 24 hours. You know what I mean? Like it's setting the expectations so they don't think and expect that you are the one that has to be.
And the same thing, and here's how I would word it language-wise, right? So when I first started doing this, I didn't do a transition. So people would be like, who the hell is Donna? Like, why is she calling me?
Yeah.
It's a handoff.
Because I didn't do a baton handoff. And there's just a little language that you can use. It's like, great, now that we have a fully executed agreement, My assistant, her name is Donna. She's my personal assistant, which makes her your personal assistant to the transaction.
That's good.
She's going to be reaching out to you within 24 to 48 hours, introducing herself. She's going to be the one that schedules appraisals and inspections. She reports to me regularly, and I oversee the process. She'll be the point of contact moving forward. And they're like, okay, yeah, it's a script. And I would say it 10, 15 times a month, every single time. And the thing you have to understand is people are looking to be led. Our job is to lead them. If you don't believe me, watch what would happen. If we were in a place, like let's say, you know, that place up here that's got all the restaurants, and a group of people, we all stood outside and we looked up, within 10 minutes, we'd have a crowd of people looking up like, what the hell are we looking at? People are looking to be led. You ever seen those videos where somebody's like, oh my God, is somebody famous? It's just like a dude, and then like the whole mall like goes nuts. And it's just like some guy. People are looking to be led. Our job is to lead them. But we are afraid to do it because we're like, oh, if I tell them what to do, they're gonna get mad and like blah, blah, blah. But like they don't do this 10 times a month. They do it like once every 10 years. They're like, oh, this is the way it's done? You're like, yeah. And they're like, okay, cool.
No? Oh, I thought you did.
So you delegate.
This is blowing this guy's mind right now. He's like, God damn! So wait a minute, let me get this straight. Once you get the list paperwork, you know to talk to him again? Oh my God. This is fantastic.
So you delegate the part of just having somebody else go to the appraisals, inspections.
100%, bro. Let me ask you a question. Are you a professional inspector? Then why the hell would you be there? Are you a professional appraiser? And is it illegal to try to influence an appraiser? So why do you go? I know why, to try to justify your commission. It's the only reason why you go, guys.
So,
Which is fine, but let him ask you. But I'm just aware, guys, listen to me. I sold 2,000 homes in my career, okay? 2,000. You know how many times I went to an appraisal? 0.
Even from the beginning?
0.
Not the first one?
0. 0. Zip zilch. I'm not an appraiser, bro. I'm curious. Did you go to school to be an appraiser? So then what the hell are you doing there? I didn't go to one home inspection. Didn't go to one walkthrough.
You have to make sure they appraise the house.
No, you can't. You have no influence over that. It is illegal to try to influence that, brother. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
somebody said, that you can to bring the comparables. Well, again, I know that you see a different. That you can bring the comparables, but you can also email the comparables.
Yeah, bro. Why do you got to be there?
You know, if
You think because you're gonna be like, oh, here's my like that's gonna like influence them? No.
if you really want to share the comparables, you don't have to be in the property to share it. Like, I'm not there. What I do is, and again, to what Aaron said is true. It's illegal to try to influence. Now, it's not illegal to share comparables. Some appraisals, they even ask you
Yeah, fine.
for comparables. Now, the conversation is, Mr. Appraisal, they're the ones reaching out. Hey, I receive an appraisal request. I want to go to your property.
Yeah, and
I'm like, okay.
how often do they listen?
Do you have access to a Supra?
Fucking never.
Then they have access to a Supra. Well, if the property is occupied, I send somebody to meet with them, right? If they have to be there. If not, the seller can open the door.
Claro.
It's a 15-minute situation. But if you want to send the comparables, the conversation, Mr. Appraisal, okay, perfect. The seller's gonna open the door for you on Friday at 4 p.m. Is it okay if I share with you some recent sales that we consider to price this unit? 90% of the time they're gonna say yes. And then, okay, can you please text me your email and I'll send it to you?
Simple.
You have to be there to bring up comparable.
That's right. Yes.
So can you also delegate showing of the house then?
Of course.
You already have.
Of course. Hey, here's a really good way to emphasize something.
I'm just gonna the appraisal part.
Yes.
What if your seller, your client, is asking you to open a door for them because they don't want to deal with it?
Then send somebody and pay him $50 to open the door.
You can literally send. I have.
Mira, he sends a group chat because we have over 300 agents. He sends a group chat. Who wants to open the door for $50? Somebody's like, beep, and they go open the door.
There's even an application right now where you can pay a flat fee for another agent, another licensed agent that can do that for you. So you don't have to be there. What I do, I don't have the application. I've heard about the application. I literally have
I
a
use this
WhatsApp
for
group.
somewhere up north.
Claro, can I make a suggestion? Use it for somewhere around here.
Yeah. So I have a WhatsApp group with like 30 to 40 agents. And the sole purpose of that group is every time that I have to do a showing, an appraisal or meet for a photographer, I just post it there, the day, the time, the property, and I say I'm paying $30. And guess what? Agents raise their hand if they want to take an Uber service. They want to do it.
But do you see how doing these little things are basically up here? What would stop you from doing it? The saver, the staller. You see what I'm saying? The supervisor. I feel like I have to be there.
I travel a lot. That WhatsApp group saved me a lot because it's like, well, I'm gone. Somebody else is showing my buyer's property.
Yes.
I'm not losing the opportunity. That's exactly what this is about. Time freedom.
Okay, let me ask you a question. If there was a stock that normally traded at $750, but it was trading at like $50, and you knew it was really worth $750, how much of the $50 stock would you buy? All of it. All of it. Do that with your time. You understand? If I know my time's worth $750, I should be willing to buy my time for anything less than that. It's going to cost me $250 an hour to hire you? Fine. It's going to cost me $100 to have somebody cut the grass? Fine. You understand what I'm saying? Because trust me, that spills out into other things too.
But you pay somebody to show the property for you because you're buying that time. What are you supposed to be doing with that time?
Being productive.
Be productive, not sit at the beach.
Exactly.
Doing the income producing activities. And if you know that you're not going to be doing those income producing activities, that's when you're like, I'd rather go and show the property. And that's an analysis that you don't consciously do in your
Yeah, or you have an internal conflict with the actual activities. So you end up doing creative avoidance behavior. Creative avoidance is where you create something to do to make you feel like you're working and you're actually not. You're not being productive. Because remember, you only get paid to do 4 things. What are they? Prospect, lead follow-up, go on appointments, negotiate deals. That's it.
Have these been valued?
Helpful. Useful.
All right. So I want to close it out with final thoughts. Melinda, starting with you. Final thoughts on scaling from experience. What do you want to leave this room with?
I think what I want you all to remember is that growing a business is a daily battle, right? No matter what business it is, we're battling. What we're battling is ourselves. And so figuring out your internal battles, whether you ignore the battle or you stuff it in a closet or put it in a drawer, it's still going to be there. So we have to go deep. We got to figure out what our tendencies are, what our defaults are, and how we behave to be able to rewire our brains. And that takes time, and that takes reflection, and that takes mentorship, and that takes coaching, and that takes reading, and that takes, and then just executing, right? And putting things in place to create yourself an environment to thrive. So all these things are really good systems. Some of you probably learned something new, but a lot of the things we're talking about are not secrets. They're not rocket science. So we need to implement. And sometimes we're afraid to do that for one of these 5 demons or whatever. Assassins. And so that's why we go back to what's it all about? Like, what are we doing this for? Why are we afraid? What's stopping us? And really spending time on that, I'm telling you, it'll be worth its money in gold or more, because once you break through on that, you'll really start to see your lives change. Personal and financial and business lives will change once you start to do that.
Well done.
And because that's what it's all, it's not just money. It's about how you're living your life. You're probably showing up in that same fear in other things in your life as well.
And let me say that getting proximity with Melinda, guys, like she's a great, I don't know, I generally don't know anybody in my life that is such a great planner like yourself. Like for real, like she's planning everything. She has SOPs for everything. So anything that has to do with systems, just talk to her. Just talk to her. And she's a giver, guys. So take
I
advantage
won't just close your deals. I'll help you
There you
with
go.
a lot of other stuff too.
Novello, what do you got for me?
Dear Novello.
Yeah, dear. Yeah, come on, bro.
Gotta keep it up.
Accomplishing anything is 80% psychology and 20% mechanics.
Yeah.
It's 80% what's going on in here and mental maths and beliefs, which are just opinions that you've developed loyalty to, and then 20% the technical component. And doing is better than watching. We have become a whole generation that just watches. You will watch people on YouTube, you'll watch people on you'll watch people do what you want to do. But the way that you learn is by actually doing, not watching. Right? And it's not 10,000 hours, it's 10,000 iterations. You have to be willing to screw something up a lot to get really good at it.
If you don't follow Aaron Novello on Instagram, social media, just follow the guy. I mean, the reason this Aaron is truly the example of scaling because again, once he found the formula on the scaling the business and hire the right people, it's what you use with that free time, that time that you bought that, right? And he did that for 20 years, hundreds of thousands of transactions in the 20 years.
Thousands, yeah. But who's counting? I don't know.
But who's counting, right? In my case, final thought, it comes down to one decision. You gotta make the decision. It could be, if you don't even have a transaction coordinator, that's the first step. You have to hire somebody that transacts all your transactions, that coordinate all your transactions. And it's like rentals. I made the decision a long time ago, I'm not gonna work with rentals. It's not worth my time, period. So I know that some of you might already make that decision, right? So for Aaron, even from the beginning, he said, I'm not gonna work with buyers. He has never shown a property, guys, never to a buyer.
Well,
So that's a decision.
well, here's what's true. I did, but for 15 years, I did not. I did not own an e-key. I couldn't even show property if you wanted me to.
So he made the decision, I'm only gonna work with
That's right.
So you gotta make the decision. The same thing.
I'll tell you.
Scaling. I'm gonna hire that assistant. We're gonna hold you accountable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna hire that VA. I'm gonna hire the transaction coordinator, the listing coordinator. I'm gonna outsource my showings if you're there. I'm gonna outsource my appraisals, my photography, to free up that time, and then do the income producing activities with that time. Because if you hire everybody and outsource and don't do the other part, then yeah, what are you doing? Yeah.
I have a webinar that I did for agents last year on demand. I'll share it with you guys since I have the list. It's about hiring a VA and using a VA, so it can get you started thinking about different things to think about.
No, but and before I finish with my friend Eric here, you remind me about the webinar. There's a piece of paper in your tables. That is an next event that I'm having, an amazing event about real estate investing. I put that program alongside with my investors, and we teach you guys on how to search and put together investment deals. That's another way that for me is a big deal when it comes to scaling. I'm heavy into working with investors because I find that it's way easier than working with traditional buyers and sellers. So just sign up. It's going to be next week. It's going to be.
So my two biggest takeaways are don't get complacent and don't forget why you started, right? Because a lot of people, once they get to the point where they have to start scaling, they get comfortable and they forget why they started. No one started becoming a realtor just to close 12 deals a year, right? Everybody had a long vision of buying 20 properties and being able to retire and all that stuff, right? Yeah. Don't get complacent in your, in your success. Keep your system in place. What is it? Fighting 5 demons or whatever it is. And your fellow assassins. And don't forget why you started. It's very simple.
You should just change it to demons.
Yeah, it's fine.
Demons sound better.
Hey, do you notice that I was the only one that remembered? I'm coachable.
Wow.
Dear coach, I'm coachable.
Dear coach. Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Thanks,
Appreciate
everyone.
With me, I have my dear coach.
Dear.
Coach.
Wow. I love that.
Aaron Novello. Who here has seen that face before?
If you haven't, it's my bad. I need to be doing a better job on media. It's my bad. My bad.
So he's a real estate coach.